Thanks, Radhika and Wayne. Nice joke, by the way. And hi, everyone. Thank you very, very much for coming to this talk. My name is Diego González. I'm from Colombia. My friends call me El Flaco, which means the skinny. I work for Globant as a designer. And it's been really, really, really remarkable to be here at Figma. It's such a wonderful place, full of amazing people. And it's such a privilege for me to be part of this and to be connected with you all around the world through a screen. How are you? Are you having fun? I'm sure you are. You can use the chat in the tool to express yourselves there. We are almost halfway through this great 24 hours of Config 2022. It's just unbelievable. And today, in this talk, I will try to answer if can it be delightful to design a table? Let's see. And to begin with, I want to introduce you to someone. This is my son, Tomás, one of my 6 children. And this was his face every time we asked him to clean up his room. He always said, "Why me? It always takes me too much time. It's hard and it's boring." And then you come back asking me for changes to adjust something here or there. He was frustrated. And he was right. But then I realized that it was almost the same face I used to make every time I was asked at work to add a table in my prototypes. Why me? It always takes me too much time. It's hard and it's boring. And then you come back asking me for changes to adjust something here or there. I was frustrated. But I was right, because let's face it, designing tables is one of the most tedious processes we designers may face. Of course, there are a lot of great tools and awesome plugins out there. Thanks a lot for that. But in many cases, it's really hard to keep consistency with design systems and all the things that are involved around in this type of process. The thing is that it was taking so much energy from me that I began to feel that even my work was losing some of its meaning. But as someone used to say, someone you may have seen today, just do it. As much as we may don't like it, having tables in prototypes is essential for a lot of business and many types of users. They allow them from an early stage to get an idea of the type of data they will use to make sound decisions. And most importantly, it helps them to save time, energy, and yes, money. We all know this. It is something we need to keep doing. So just do it, son. Clean up your room, please. Long story short, believe me or not, this is my son now every time he gets to clean up his room. And this is me as well, every time I get to add a table in my prototypes. We just love it. We really are enjoying it, doing that. But the question behind is, how did we get to this point? What happened in between? And I guess that my first answer would be 2020 happened, the year that never seems to end. A particular year for all of us, for sure. So this is the story of how, by tackling the 3 most common mistakes we designers or kids make when facing a frustrating process, we have managed to overcome the frustration that I used to feel working with the tables and my son used to feel cleaning up his room. And we have turned it into a delightful challenge, something we even enjoy, despite how difficult it can be. So let's take a look at how the things looked like before. This is what my son's room looked. I'm sorry, Tommy, about that. I'm exposing yourself to everyone there. But it was a mess, a total mess. Look at that. Well, actually, in this picture, it doesn't look as bad as it sometimes really did. It was always a conflict to ask him to straighten it up. And when the mess was so much, so big, he, his brother, or any of us at home that couldn't deal up with the mess anymore would end up putting everything in a big bag and leaving it in a corner. And it was understandable, because with so much to do, where should he start? I mean, clothes, handmade bed, Legos. I knew that at some point I was going to step on them. Things that nobody understood how they got there. More clothes, even a face mask, on the floor. For him, it was very difficult, because he never found his things. He had no space to do his homework. But of course, it was also difficult for his older brother, Lucas, who was more organized, but he ended working alone and making his own bed and leaving the rest to his younger, messy brother. So they just didn't like to spend time in their own room. Well, now on the other side, and now it's my turn, I'm also exposing myself, Tommy. This is what my tables looked like before. A mess. I know that the ones that are not familiarized with this type of content don't see anything wrong with them, but believe me, that is a mess. It was always a conflict for me to organize it. And when the mess was so big, I or any of my folks would end up putting all the layers in a big group and leaving it in a corner. And it was understandable, because with so much to do, where should I start? I mean, endless groupings, unnamed layers, styles outside the design system, hard to replace content. For me, it was very difficult, because I never found the time to organize. And when I thought I could get started, a new requirement with a new table would always show up. It was also very difficult for my fellow designers and developers. We didn't like to spend time working with tables. But let's take a look at the mistakes. The first one, working alone. We believe we should know everything, that expressing any type of doubts or questioning what it's already done, or even asking for help, can expose us in front of our folks and finally reveal the imposter among us. When in fact, showing your concerns to others gives you the opportunity to identify more closely with them. I was tired of spending so much time working with the tables, but I didn't share it with anyone because I was afraid of exposing myself. So I decided to research on the internet on how to build better tables, and surprise, I found everything out there. I tested it out and it was working for me, but something was missing. And then I had the opportunity to go even a step further without looking for it. Knowing how to work as a team will always bring better results. When I started to hear that others in the team were suffering the same things than me, I finally decided to share what I had learned to help them as well. And that thing changed everything. That made me feel part of their team. You know what I mean? Their team. Even if you are a solo designer, or if your team is so big that it is difficult to interact with others, or if isolation has affected you, there will always be a community, a channel, a partner that you can ask for help, but that you also can help. So overcoming the first mistake led me to the second one, focusing on the goal and not on the process. We're so used to getting outcomes quickly, and once we get there, we easily go back to our old ways, or if we do not succeed, we get frustrated very easily. I was expecting to come up with a solution overnight. I wanted fast results and everything to work perfectly. And of course, I was wrong. It was going to take more time than I was expecting. So I slowly understood that having the table component by itself was not what I should be focusing on, but what kind of designer I wish to become. What process would allow me to gradually generate incremental improvements in all areas. That became the goal. And that's when I set aside 30 minutes a week, nothing more, nothing less, to learn and make progress in anything that will help me to become a more joyful designer. 30 minutes, you would say, but that's nothing. Well, since 2020, I have already dedicated more than 50 hours to this. Something that helped me a lot was breaking the problem into small parts, into atoms. It has to look simple. It has to look achievable. The important thing is to make some progress each time. Without even realizing it, you will be creating design habits, and then they will stick with you forever. The third mistake now is not sharing outcomes. Focusing on the process will definitely pay off. I began to experience outcomes, of course, but then my inner Bruno told me that if I share them with others, a disaster will come. This won't be useful to anyone. This is a simple table. Who will care? Yes, you're right. Let's be honest. It is not like someone will invite me to be a speaker at Config 2022. Those things just don't happen. No. We don't talk about Bruno. Well, I was wrong, because if you share something great you've discovered, then others will experience it too. And when that happens, you will enjoy it as a team and grow as a team. I started to share my findings with the team, and I realized that it was useful for them too. So I began to enjoy the process, and now there are more of us learning, testing, sharing outcomes, improving the process, redefining themselves, one atom at a time. After one of those sessions, one of my folks, Grace, encouraged me to postulate this talk. And here I am. So you never know. The more you share, the more you grow. So I wanted to share with you today some of the key learnings I got from office hours, from Figma advocates, tutorials, documentation. Of course, always trying to build a better table. All free and open information on the internet that anyone can discover. So let's see. The basis is that the cells of the tables are the atoms. They should have the most standardized layout possible. Then you go on and create as many variants as possible, as you need, sorry. And it is not necessary to create them all at the beginning. You can start with regular text and headers, things like that, and then you can increase the complexity. In most cases, the content of a real table, in the real world, is organized by columns. They have the title, and under it, it is expected that most of the elements are of the same type. But sometimes we, the designers, base on the design on the row, and we put inside the row the different cells. Organizing content like this increases working time, because you don't have group elements of the same type of content. So it is way much better to organize cells by columns. And now I'm so excited, really I'm so excited with all the new auto layouts announcements that we received today. Also, by putting a color field to the container and using the space between elements, you can generate the border effect. It's a nice trick there. Selecting and moving elements quickly is extremely useful. By using keyboard shortcuts and having the right structure, you can do this very easily. Use Enter or Shift plus Enter to switch your selection between parent or child layers. With Tab or Shift plus Tab, you can switch your selection between siblings. And within a frame with auto layout, using the defined direction, you can move the selected elements using the keyboard arrows. And now you can take the opportunity to test the new way of organizing those layers. If you have the same structure in the different type of cells, you can select several of them and quickly change the type of content using the power of variants. Very fast without affecting the written content. By taking advantage of the power of plugins, you can prepare a table with your data in a Google spreadsheet. Name your layers in Figma using hashtags with each title respectively. And by using Google Sheets Sync, the plugin, you will be able to automatically mock up all your data in seconds. And thanks to the auto layout properties again, you can define which of your columns will have a static width and which will be adjustable. For example, for the actions, define a resize to wrap the contents, and for larger content you can define them to fill the container. And when you combine that with constraints, working with different size screens turns into something really easy. The best tip I learned was: place your table in a frame with a defined grid. Set its constraints as needed, for example left or right, and then you will be able to adjust the screen size and your content will not suffer. It is now that I still don't know why I enjoy this so much, and thanks God I can live by doing it. Anyway, you have to believe me, everything I told you works pretty nice. From measuring my own time working, I've discovered I went from 60 minutes to 10 minutes on average. That is almost 80% less time adding a table. And now, just imagine what we will be able to do with all the new features we have today. And true story too, here is my son's room today. Together, Thomas and Lucas started one step at a time. For a while, it was just learning to make the bed well, then opening space in the shelves and taking out what they didn't use. They are enjoying the process a lot. Of course, I have to be honest, There are days when it gets messy again, but Thomas is finding less and less difficult to organize it again because today he finds the challenge delightful and he enjoys it. So yes, I believe that working as a team, creating a system of simple design habits, and sharing the results with others will definitely increase the odds of changing a frustrating process into a delightful challenge. It is not necessary to deny that something is difficult. We must not be naive. We must recognize and face it with creativity and teamwork. I do not work alone, and if I am here, it's thanks to my huge team. I consider it as only one huge team. At home, my wife, Marcela, and children, my family, at work, my colleagues, leaders, and clients, and at the academy, all my students and other teachers. Thanks to them. And especially, thank you all for joining me here. I hope I have left you something valuable by sharing my story. You can find in my Figma profile in the community this deck with all the references so you can create your own tables. And at least you can try it and tell me what happened then. And also, as a gift, I have left you there the illustrations that you have seen. I have created them in Figma also. Use them as you want, they are yours. I look forward to hearing from you and your stories there. Thanks.